One of the most powerful motivational speakers in the world. Hey, joining us tonight is the author of A Breed Apart, A Journey to Redemption. You can't control him, you can only contain him, Mr. Victor Woods. Victor, how's it going this evening?
Hey, it's going great, Gerard. Thank you for having me on the show.
We appreciate you. You know what, man, you talk about a metamorphosis. Please start from the beginning, because a lot of our viewers have called me and they're like, Gerard, I've got a record, but I can't do anything about it. Start from the beginning, Victor.
Well, Gerard, as a young person, and a lot of our young people across the city of Chicago and across the United States are using their potential in the wrong way. I tell young people, if you sell drugs, you can sell cars, you can sell real estate. And so, as a young person, I had an armed robbery ring with police scanners and walkie-talkies and ended up going into state prison. And like a lot of people in prison, you know, I was part of the recidivism rate where I went back again and went to federal prison for making $40 million worth of Visa Gold cards. And while I was in federal prison, you know, eyesight is what we see in front of us, vision is what we see down the road, and I decided that I had become sick and tired with being sick and tired, and that's when I changed the condition that I was in and decided I wanted to do motivational speaking, and I wrote a book while I was in prison as well. You
know, this is heavy because I was watching your DVD and you mentioned Jay-Z. You talk about Jay-Z changing his life. Tell us about that.
Well, Jay-Z, you know, was a dope dealer from New York that decided that I'm going to sell CDs instead of drugs, and now we know that the man is a billionaire. And so the bottom line is, you know, he understood, and a lot of these young people need to understand that the skills that they have in the street, see, I'm about empowering somebody where they're at. You just don't have to grab this kid and say, hey, you're doing a bad deed. But to take that young man and look at what he's doing and say, hey, we can channel some of the things you're doing in the right direction. A lot of these kids, and one of the biggest problems we have in Chicago is black boys like guns. And so I'm saying, if you like guns, join the military, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, go to Iraq, we need you over there, but stop doing this senseless killing in our neighborhoods.
You know, I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter open and the chat room. Mr. Cragwell says, everyone finds their niche. He says, sooner or later, Mr. Woods was fortunate enough to live through it and then recognize it and do it about face. Now, come on, man. When did the epiphany hit you to say, wait a minute, you know, I'm smarter than that and I want to live clean?
You know, that's a great question, Gerard. And I'll tell you, I was in the hole in federal prison. I wasn't programming when I was there, and I was in there for about 9 months. And I got an infection in my eye where I almost went blind. And that's when I really woke up and said, I do not want to live like this. There's a lot of women around the country who are being abused by husbands, and sometimes they wake up and they say, you know, enough is enough. I'm not going to allow anyone to disrespect me anymore. And I had just gotten to the point where I was disrespecting myself by not living up to the things that I was destined to do. So that's when I looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to make a positive change. And as I go around the country and motivate people, and I've spoken from Morehouse College Business School to the Houston Astrodome to the National Baptist Convention, and my story is basically that if I can do it, you can do it too.
Victor, I'm puzzled though, man. You know, upper middle class family, you've got people around you with strong family values you really didn't want for money. I mean, what went wrong, man?
Well, at 15 years old, you know, I was like a lot of kids, I was rebellious, and I grew up in Arlington Heights and I didn't want to be there, and argued with my parents and ran away from home. And at the time when I ran away from home at 15 years old, then I was like any other kid. I was put in a foster home, I was on the south side of Chicago, and that's when I began to get into trouble because I didn't have any money. And our young people today that are doing the things that they're doing, they don't have any money. And more important than not having money, they don't have any hope. And when you take finances away from people and you take money away from people, then you have the chaos that we have in our inner city schools today.
Wow. You know, in your DVD, I saw you speaking to children at schools and at detention centers. How are they accepting your message? Do they just see you as a man in a suit who's got money, who's got a book out, who's a speaker now and is totally detached? Or do they see you as somewhat of a metaphorical sibling?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I'm able to reach young people because I've been where they're at. I don't talk down to them, I talk to them. And more importantly than that, I listen. You know, you have to listen to people if you want to reach them. You know, even if you don't agree with them, you need to listen and understand where they are. Young people listen to me because at one time I did do armed robberies. At one time I was in federal prison. At one time I was doing some of the same irresponsible things that they were doing, trapped in the same madness that they were trapped in, and I was able to pull my way out of it. And so I'm able to say, hey, I was where you're at, but look at me now, and give them a roadmap on how I got to where I am today, which is more important than what I did.
Yeah, you know, there's always two sides to a coin, as the cliche says. And on the DVD as well, I saw that law enforcement agents, they praise you now. I mean, there was probably a time when they were like, oh, we got to put this guy in jail and keep him there for life. He'll never turn around. How do how do law enforcement agents, judges, people in the correctional system look at a man like Victor Woods and say, you know what, he deserves a second chance?
Well, you know, that's a big question, a great question. And the issue really with that is a lot of people come out and say, hey, I've changed. Or not even people that have been to prison say I've changed. But you've got to prove that you've changed. So when I got out of prison in 1996, everyone did not embrace me. So I continued to knock on doors. And it's about not giving up. And so I've spoken in almost every prison in Illinois, Stateville, Pontiac, Menard. As a matter of fact, Ebony Magazine traveled with me to Stateville last year, and just today I was in Danville Correctional Center talking to young black males there about how to re-enter society. And so law enforcement has embraced me. I'm working with law enforcement and the Attorney General in Florida. I've just recently started work with Christopher Millett, who is over the community safety initiatives for Mayor Daley's office. And so I spent some time with him, and we're going to be at Robertson High School on Wednesday working with that school who had 100 arrests last year and 100 girls pregnant within that school. And so I'm fortunate that because of some of the work I've done, law enforcement is reaching out to me to work with them in conjunction with them to help save lives.
Wow. Blogs on Victor Woods, Rufus Williams, Roland Burris, and Rihanna can be found at cltv.com/GML.